All right, here we go.
Oh,
Can you hear me okay?
perfect. I can hear you fine,
Awesome.
Milan.
All right. How you doing, man?
We're doing good. Today's been a crazy day in the mortgage world. Business is just booming, and
That's what's up.
that's a real encouraging thing when you're involved in an industry that can provide such benefit to homeowners, and when they're kind of down and out and being stuck in their trying to navigate through the craziness of what we're going through on a daily basis. And it's great to provide this product, as you provide a product as well, that aids in them not going really batshit crazy.
Right? For sure. Yeah, we're doing the internet, cable TV, phone, and whatnot. Speaking of your business, if you ever want to put anything out, feel free. Like if anybody needs any mortgage services, home equity, line of credit, whatever it is, maybe you want to explain like briefly like what exactly you do and what states you service, because people are going to watch from all over the country.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks.
I'm not trying
With
to
our
turn it into a commercial, but why not plug you for taking the time to do this, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really, what it boils down to is, we're a federally chartered bank, which basically means that we can do loans in all 50 states. And we're also a unique credit union in the fact that we're a nonprofit, where we invest all profits that are made right back into the community and back into our members, with really high yields with our banking products. Some of our products go up to 100% of the property value, which is unheard of right now. And the name of the company is Security Plus Federal Credit Union. We're based out of Baltimore, Maryland. Everything is accessible online, so we are, technologically advanced, and we're ready to assist whoever needs help with their mortgage, either through a refinance or a purchase. I've personally been in the business for over 22 years, and I've seen every possible type of transaction. And my goal is really to, allow people to benefit either through a purchase or refi, and make their dreams come true, either from saving money or actually becoming a homeowner, which that's huge. But
Right.
enough about that. But yeah, it's
So we came into the deal at about 12, what the 12-year mark is where I fell into it, where I met you at Novastar. Because people are asking me, like, how do you know this guy? Like, who's Tony? So Tony's like my old boss, longtime friend, whatever. Like, he mentored me in the mortgage business. I learned everything I know about mortgages through this guy, which has helped me even outside of the business. Like when I was buying a house in Vegas and everything, and securing a loan and whatnot. Like, it's because of the knowledge that I learned from Tony to make sure that I got the best deal and whatnot. I really wish you did business out in Nevada, because I'd like to send you some more referrals. I want to do a HELOC right now.
Well, I mean, nothing's stopping you because we do lend in that state. But all you got to do is go online at www.securityplusfcu.org, and you'll get all the
Okay.
information on our banking products. Everything is right there live for you. And then if you need to reach out to me directly, my phone number is 410-281-6213.
And
But now,
I'll link it in the description below. So if you guys click below, I'll put his info in there. So if you need to reach out to him or ask any questions,
that's
or leave it
perfect.
in the comment section. So do I have to be a customer of that bank, like for
No,
my normal banking to do mortgage, or no?
you would have to become a member before the loan closes. So you don't have to be a member to
Okay.
apply. You just have to be a member before the loan comes to fruition. And we don't have any restrictions against somebody joining the credit union outside of the Baltimore area. Because at one point in time, our credit union was based upon you either work, live, um, go to school, or worship in the Baltimore surrounding area. You automatically can become a member. But we've signed up with another organization that allows us to bypass those guidelines, which allows our members to enjoy our banking products from different states. I just finished up a refi in West Virginia, so we're kind of nationwide right now, and I'm getting a lot of traction in Florida right now, getting a lot of inquiries from California. So it's really case by case, but
Nice.
we also do common sense underwriting.
That's what's up, man. So I'm definitely gonna hit it. I'm gonna hit you up. I'm gonna go to the site, enter my info. So you do purchase, refi, HELOC. Is there anything that you don't do?
We don't do reverse mortgages, and we don't do investment property cash out. Everything else is pretty
Okay.
much still available. Jumbo loans, we do them kind of case by case as well. A lot of the lenders right now are backing away from that aspect. So we're still available to do those type of loans, case by case, and the loan would have to make absolute sense. But we have certainly not cut off our members from accessing that type of product that, like the big banks like Wells Fargo and some others, have really just stepped away. And for whatever reason, I mean, I can't speculate on why they did it, but we're still in the game, and we're here to help. But I also wanted to move
That's
on
cool,
to.
man. I really missed the mortgage game. I'm glad you've been able to work throughout this whole virus thing. You've been able to come to work every day, right? Like, have you had any time where you had to sit at home because of this?
No. I mean, fortunately, what we can do is all through electronic documents, DocuSigns, or whatever
Okay.
your different ways to sign. But yeah, we can do everything electronically. We handle everything through email. So I've been able to come to work every single day from day one, because all of our offices are more than 6 feet apart, and we take social distancing, and we take ultimate precautions, about the potential spreading of this virus, which is very hard to understand, and comprehend a lot of times when there's a lot of fear mongering and there's a lot of misinformation. I think one of the things that we can't really grasp right now is the realism of it. Some people are they say that they have a family member that's affected by it, and my heart breaks for those type of people, man, because I've heard of the terribleness of this disease, and but I've heard of fantastic stories where people have recovered, and it just became like a flu that was very devastating, but nothing that someone couldn't recover from. So with that being said, it's very hard to understand every single side of this virus, that we don't
Right.
even get accurate numbers all the time. And I think a lot of the media has a lot of responsibility in this to, keep the fear going. And I think once the fear is instilled in somebody, it's hard to extract that fear. That fear just doesn't go away. It stays there, and it manifests with each news article you read, or any news station you're on. It's all doom and gloom. And like I said before, the whole idea of our podcast is really talk about positiveness. How can we elevate ourselves to the positiveness of this whole thing? And it is all about, our kids. And, because I know we talked in our last podcast about a myriad of topics, but I think what we missed in our last podcast, but we want to focus on this one, is talking about our kids, talk about the schooling,
Right.
and talking about, some of the things that have already been kind of put out there for us to digest. So I'm gonna let you take it for a little bit and talk about, the Vegas side of things, because I'm on the East Coast. I'm in a state
Right.
that is locked down, and we're just starting on, the reopening of all counties. And
Right.
so I'm gonna let you talk for a little bit and tell me what you experienced in Vegas.
Well, at least the weather is beautiful right now in Vegas. We're still hanging out in the yard with my kids and whatnot. And you know what? I'm really glad and that we're blessed that we can still we have not really suffered. You and I personally, like, you've been able to go to work every day. I've been able to do my thing, and we're blessed that we have the ability of having our kids at home. But staying at home is not doing them any good. You can't sit at home there's only so long that you can do this. Like, you just can't do 8 hours of video games every day, and you can't. They need like that social interaction or whatever, and they can't be in front. They're already in front of a screen for so long, like their whole life can't be the screen. So it's like, what do you do? Because we're conflicted that we want to obviously look out for our kids' best interests, right? We want to keep them safe, but then you also want them to do the things that they need to be doing at their age and what's considered normal. So do we change our normal, or do we get our kids back to what we know as normal, knowing the risks that are out there and whatnot? I don't know. I guess that's like a debate. That's something that everybody's talking about, I think, in every household, as far as like send them back to school, keep them at home, homeschool or whatnot. But they've been home for what now, 2 months, and it's coming right into summer vacation. So, and we don't even know if it's going to start again in September. I mean, that's just going to drive people mad. What about the people that can't afford to have their spouse at home looking after the kids, or their
Yeah,
homework and all that good
yeah,
stuff? You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like,
Absolutely. Here's the thing, and I think some of the decisions that were made early on, it was based upon, a complete shutdown. So I think even the schooling system was thinking that the parents were just going to pick the ball up and, pick it up where, they couldn't provide, their side. So they were going to do some half teaching and then let the parents, still manage it. But, like you and I, we were never locked down. So, now we have to balance the home life and we have to balance the school life and we have to balance everything else and making sure our kids get the social interaction. Some good things that have come out of this is that I've had some great conversations with my kids that I would have not have had before because we have the
Right.
time. You know what I mean? Where, we weren't tied to schedules. Now it's more loose. And, my kids get to do more things than they were doing before and doing a lot of classes in the house that they weren't exposed to, such as home ec and shop.
Right.
I mean, these two
Of course.
classes are so critical when I was growing up because I learned how to use a table saw and a bandsaw and all that good stuff and how to sand things down and how to make what I thought was a pencil holder, but it ended up becoming an ashtray. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it was different things where you work and made a birdhouse. Just you work with your hands, and I think that's a good thing because my kids have been involved with doing things around the house. My son is helping out with cooking dinners, and he's helping out his little sister with fixing meals and that sort of thing. So he's getting that home ec side, and then I'm also teaching him about tools, and I'm teaching him about how to fix things, and we're doing more things that we would have never done without this shutdown. So
Let
that
me
is
let me interrupt you for a second.
yeah. Go ahead.
So during this time, have you had to modify your schedule at all because of the kids? Like, thank God that you're also in a business where I think you could work around the clock if you needed to, right? Like people sending you docs at different times, day and night.
Yeah. So
Like with me, I
my
work on
schedule
different aspects of my job throughout so thank God that we can also modify our schedules to spend more time with the kids. But then I find myself just like I don't know what your sleep schedule is like, but I don't even know, like I'm like losing track of days and day and night. But how's it working out for you as far as like modifying your schedule with the kids and like still like handling your business?
Yeah. So so I'll give you the rundown of what we were doing before, how our schedule worked between me and my wife. I really took care of the morning because my wife, before she had her employment, slashed in half and her pay cut and all that good stuff, from repercussions from everything. She took a huge pay cut. She was knocked down to part time. So, which has kind of aided us in taking more on her shoulders where we wouldn't have done before. Because when we were both working before, she would leave the house at 6:30 in the morning. I would get the kids up. I'll get them dressed, get them fed, get the lunches made, get them out the door by 7:40 to get them to school by 7:51.
Right.
And then once I dropped them off, I went home. I did my thing. Then I got into the office, and by the time I got home, I got a couple hours with them, and then it was bedtime, and it was kind of a repeat situation. So for the last 4 years, we've been in that cycle. Now with this, the lockdown and the cutting hours, and the kids are home. My kids don't have to be up at a certain time, and that's that really segues into this topic, which is the homeschooling and the distant learning. It's not working. Let's go ahead and call it what it is. It is not working because my kids literally, thank God that they are disciplined, where they haven't missed any Zoom classes or anything like that. But literally, they don't have the discipline they had before. So before they were getting up, they had to be in a school, they had to be in a certain time, so they were working. Now they get up whenever they want. They have a Zoom at 10 o'clock. Maybe they have a Zoom at 11:30. I mean, all these hours in between, they're doing their little apps on their little iPads, whatever, and they're keeping themselves entertained. But at the end of the day, they're not getting that critical learning aspect of learning from their classmates and also learning from a confined location, because that also aids in learning as well. Learning in front of a tablet, it's good for temporary, but it can't be permanent, and we can't go there. So we really have to dig in deep to figure out how we can make this work with this virus that nobody really has any idea about, how we're going to make it all work. But it can't stay what it's doing now because my kids are losing their social interaction skills because they're not talking to their friends, but on, a little chat or, whatever. And it's not the real thing. It's artificial. and we know what happens with artificial. It's not real. So we got to get back to realness.
Right. This is just insane, man. I don't know. I don't know if there's a right way to get back to it. Like, do we just throw them in there and just say, because everybody's situation is a little bit different. Like somebody might have that grandmother that's living with them, or I mean, I know some people that are super responsible. Both parents are doctors. They actually put their kids with their parents while they're dealing with this whole virus thing. So they're just not gonna, I guess, see each other. They're gonna do video calls and whatnot for God knows how many months, and that's cool. But I don't. It's hard. Like I saw the thing you sent me on the messenger had like
Yeah,
the guidelines, and is it really
yeah,
realistic? Is it really
read a
doable?
couple of those. Read a couple of them.
Okay. The one that's super sarcastic or the last
No,
one?
no. We can laugh about that one afterwards. Let's do the real serious one
Okay.
that they're toying with.
All
Let's
right.
talk about those.
So new CDC guidelines for reopening schools. So wear masks over the age of 2. No sharing of any items, supplies, belongings to individual cubbies or labeled containers. No sharing electronic devices, toys, games, learning aids. Desks 6 feet apart, all facing in the same direction. So these are all actual CDC guidelines, or is this like a modified one? Or
That's strictly from their website. So I mean, that's not fabricated. That's not exaggerated. That's what they're toying with. These are, and obviously, we need to figure out when's going to be the good time to send them back. Are they going to go back in the fall? Are they going to go back in the winter? Whatever it is. I mean, we are damaging our kids so bad because we were before. Let's just do this. Let's just appreciate what our kids have been going through to begin with. You know what I mean? Like, I'm surprised that both my kids haven't maimed each other. And I'm very thankful for that because, a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old, they get on each other's nerve in a heartbeat. So, and they push each other's buttons, but for some reason, they don't ever come to blows, and thank goodness. But, I guess I've taught them enough where, once, you start feeling yourself getting out of control, you remove yourself from the situation. But at the end of the day, man, we can't keep fostering this type of environment and think it's going to be kosher. And we think that it's going to be conducive to a positive work environment. And a positive learning environment, excuse me.
Keep talking for a second. I'm just going to grab my mic from over here and I'm going to turn down this ringer because it keeps interrupting us, but I'm listening to you.
No worries. No worries. I mean, at the end of the day, what we really have to focus on is how are we going to help aid our children going forward? And it can't be bashing teachers, because teachers are also having a hard time kind of navigating this distant learning too, because they were thrust in these positions without much heads up. So I mean, as much as we want to get mad at the teachers, I mean, teachers can only do what they can do. And are some teachers trying to do what they can do? Absolutely. Are there some teachers that are now coasting? I think so. I mean, I hear it from a lot of other parents and, some other, chat rooms and different posts and things like that, that some teachers aren't checking in at all. Or I talked to a member today that was looking to get pre-approved, and we started talking about the how his kids are adjusting. And he says he has a teenager that's in high school, and they have a 2:00 Zoom, and the kid logged in and ready for the class, and the teacher didn't show up. And so then the kid is thinking that maybe he logged in at the wrong time, maybe what was going on. So come to find out, the teacher was in the emergency room, and then ended up texting like 45 minutes later, "Oh, I'm in the emergency room." Well, do we not have a backup for you? Do we not have somebody that can pick up your slack? Do we not have a principal? Do we not have, we got to have contingency plans. We always have to have a plan B. You can't have plan A and expect plan A to be the end all be all.
I mean, if we have substitute teachers in regular school, I'm surprised they don't have like some type of like system in place as a backup in case, there's somebody that's calling out or whatever the case may be. Can you hear me okay? I put on this thing with the headpiece with the microphone.
Yeah, I still hear you pretty good.
Okay. Is the quality better on this or was it better before?
The volume on this one's like more channeled, which is good. I mean, I still hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
Like instead of being more out in the open, it's just more direct.
Right. So for those that don't know, this is Tony and our second podcast. So we're still ironing out some things and kind of getting used to the process. But okay, so let me pick up where I left off. So we were at desks 6 feet apart, all facing in the same direction. Distance on school buses one child per seat, skip rows. Does that mean we get more buses into play? Like, I mean, um, that's going to be an issue. We have to try to come up with. We're not going to be able to like satisfy everyone in every category, but I think like the more we like get to brainstorming, maybe there's a common sense approach to it that can please the majority. Um, yeah, like see that's a
Yeah,
problem right there. People can drop off their kids to school. They have to get more buses involved. Install sneeze guards and partitions wherever you cannot space 6 feet apart. Can you imagine a bunch of kids with masks on though? Like, do you think they're gonna require?
I just don't see how that can happen. I mean, my kids think it's a joke right now about the mask. I mean, they laugh at it. They don't take it serious. You know,
Right,
I can instill it as much as I can as a parent, but at the end of the day, I mean, kids have to understand this, and they're not. You know, I keep them away from the news as much as possible because there's no good news. This is the good news. Our podcast is good news. We're talking about positive things. I'm not going to talk about negative. I'm talking about how can we
right,
climb out of where we are. You know, how can we get better from where we are? And it really has to boil down to leadership. I think we have failed leadership on so many different levels, and this is not a partisan type situation. This is not
right,
you know, the fact that this has been made political is an absolute joke. I mean, how can you take a pandemic like this and make it one side versus the other? And to blame anybody is just preposterous. I mean, if you blame anybody, we're going to blame China. Okay, China. That's who we're blaming. All right. So as funny as that sounds, it is what it is, and I don't mean to offend, but at the end of the day, that's where this originated from, and they did not do their due diligence to prevent us from being affected, which is the USA. They left their
right,
borders open. They did not, prevent travel. Thank goodness, we had a leader that shut down, outside travel when he did, because can you imagine the catastrophe we would be in if he didn't shut it down? And
right.
when he first shut it down, he got nothing but pushback. So, I mean,
Exactly.
look, that's the whole
Even the
thing.
WHO, the
So,
WHO, they were recommending not to close the border to China, and he went
they,
against it and did it. And
I,
this is not like a pro-Trump or negative Trump or Republican or Democrat. This is just generally speaking that the person that's in office that has the seat of the president of the United States, stopped people from China from coming over against the WHO's recommendation. I don't know why they would recommend to do the opposite of that because they shouldn't be involved in an economic standpoint, but that's a whole other topic.
Absolutely. Look, and I believe the WHO said that China handled this perfectly. I mean, I think that's quoted, for some way, and for the WHO to make that call is preposterous. I
Right.
mean, how can they make that call? Because, a lot of people think WHO is the end all be all, and they're like the people that have all the knowledge. And really, it's coming out that they really don't know jack squat. And, you know, I don't know.
What's
It's
crazy
just,
is that their stuff is China centric, but China's giving
yeah,
them some of the least amount of money, right? If I heard correctly, like I believe we give them like 400, what is it, million per year, and China gives like 40 million or 20 million or something like that. So for the U.S. to give that much more, and them being China centric on a lot of the earlier the things,
and
I don't
then
know.
so now we're going to talk about possible vaccines, and I'm not a big proponent of vaccines because I think our immune systems are incredible, and so a good segue again is to talk about our kids' immune systems that are being affected. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not, you can't keep somebody in a box and expect them to have the same type of immune system than somebody that's outside breathing the air, breathing the germs, letting their bodies do what they got to do. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like our bodies are incredible machines, and the incredible machine needs to be exposed to everything that's out there. So, I think kids start building their immune system out the womb, and you can't keep them in a box and expect them to have the immune systems that an essential worker has that's out there every single day. I feel that my immune system is freaking top notch. The reason why, man, I used to play, some games where it was tackle the guy with the ball, and I used to get tackled and eat dirt, and then I would go run over to the copper hose that's in 95-degree heat and drink that
right.
water like it was the best tasting water on the planet. And
I
probably
was
had all
there.
it probably had minerals and had everything bad in that water because it wasn't filtered and all that stuff. And
Right.
I guess the only thing that bad about me is I got this nervous twitch now. But I mean, who's really talking about that? You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm just saying. Look, the way that we grew up, we grew up without being fearful of anything.
Okay.
We treated life like it was not going to end tomorrow. And, we lived like we weren't going to die. Now we're living to not die. And that's just, it's backwards thinking from where we grew up. And if this is the new normal, which I hate that term, because the new normal is not normal, because like I've said before, what is normal yesterday is not normal today. It's a moving target. You can't say this is normal, because
Do you think we
somebody's
can
going
ever
to
get
turn
back to
on.
where we were, or do you think like it's going to be America 2.0 no matter what?
I think it has to be America 2.0, because there's too much infection of misinformation. The misinformation is now an infection. Let's call the misinformation the new virus, because that's the virus that we have to really overcome, is the misinformation and the half truths that we've been given from day one. And you scared me off the top with the numbers, and New York was a perfect example of just astronomical numbers. But then now you're seeing the numbers come back, and now you're seeing the CDC starting to backtrack a little bit, and they're starting to walk it back a little bit, saying, hey, maybe the virus isn't as transferable as we said initially. Really?
Right.
Really? So we're going to start backtracking now after being into this almost 3 months?
Plus, you know what else I just read this morning? There was an article saying that there was 4 states where they combined their numbers and artificially scared everybody. They came out with it because there's like a drive-through thing where there's one line for testing for the virus, and then there's another one, something about checking for the antibodies. And basically, like, they put those numbers together and called it like a big spike within a 24, 48-hour period or whatever. I didn't read all the details of the article, kind of like the headline, but so there's all kinds of just, you need accurate data to be able to make the decisions, like going back to school, when, how, all that good stuff. But our information is just, it's not consistent. It's not accurate. I know it's something that we've never seen before. It's constantly like they're learning new things about it day by day. So I don't think anybody really knows, man. I think we're shooting for September as far as going back to normal. I know like the businesses, like you said in Maryland, retail stores are open, restaurants out here in Vegas. Go ahead.
As of tomorrow, hair salons can open up with more than one person in the salon. They're going to start opening up some restaurants, but distance seating and some other things. So what's interesting is that the CDC just said that the virus, I believe, if I read correctly, cannot be transmitted through swimming pools because of the other chemicals that are in the swimming pools. So I think it's time to make swimming pools essential, especially with the rising temperatures in the summer. You can't keep that locked down,
That's smart. That's a good idea. So that's one way to get them out.
Yeah. So, and then at the end of the day, man.
Are you guys going to participate on the other things? Like, have you taken your kids out to anywhere, like grocery stores, or like where have they been since all this stuff has started?
Well, I mean, last week was the first time that we ventured out of our geographical area. We went down to the resorts of Ocean City, Maryland.
Okay.
And it was very interesting. I will tell you what was interesting about it is that my buddy has a condo that overlooks the boardwalk, and he has a patio that overlooks he's like on the 3rd floor, so he has good distance to see everyone walking around on the boardwalk, and not a single person. I wouldn't say not a single person, but it was definitely a very small percentage.
Very small percentage.
Very small percentage were masked up, and even a smaller percentage were doing the social distancing, even though they plastered it all over the seats. They put it on the signs. They painted the sidewalks. They're going overboard with these type of things. But even with that, very few people were participating in that. I think people were just at their wits' end, and they were just they were happy to get out. And what are the ramifications of doing that? Is it the fear mongering again? Look, you've ventured out. The number's going to jump. I don't see it, because Florida has opened up completely, and they're not seeing any sort of spikes. So again,
what was open? Sorry to cut you off. What was open in Ocean City? Like, were businesses open? Were the beaches open?
Yeah, so beaches were open. Everyone was keeping their distance, but people were. It was a little chilly, but people were still going in the ocean. I went in with my feet. My daughter got completely soaked, and so she went in. That was fine. But
Okay.
Candy Kitchen was open. Fisher's Popcorn was open. They had some other stores that were opening, but going into the stores, you need your masks on. Which, look, we respect whatever your business calls for. I'm certainly not going to be one of those belligerent people that says, "Look, I'm going to stand my ground, whatever." Hey, man, if you want me to put it on, I'm gonna go and put it on. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just gonna get what I got to get and move on.
Right.
I'll take the mask off once I get out of the facility, but I'm gonna be respectful to whoever's requesting me to put a mask on. Even if my employer said, why don't you go and mask up? Okay, I'll mask up, but you got to give me a reason to. You got to tell me
Right.
why, because I'm not coming within 6 feet of people, so there's no reason for me to do it. But if the credit union makes that decision, I'm going to be respectful.
Well, let's sidestep a little bit. What's your opinion on this whole like, oh, it's you're like breaking my constitutional right, my freedoms and stuff like that, versus like them just trying to look out for like the well-being of the American population. Like, what's your
All right.
opinion on that?
So my opinion on this, and it's a great topic, is that, look, I think it really boils down to how much has been taken away. Like, you got to evaluate how much has been taken away, and then that has a direct correlation to then reverting back to, now it's my constitutional rights are being taken. Look, at one point in time, it was just about our safety. But now you can't really call it being about our safety when you have Walmart open and you have the grocery stores open that have mass amount of people, and you don't have the mom and pop shops that are open. I mean, there's no logical explanation for it. You can't tell me that you can keep you can have a liquor store open, but you can't have a restaurant open. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand that. You're still getting the same quantity of people. You know what I mean? So
Right.
what's the logic behind it? Somebody with a backbone has to really eventually step up and say, hey, this is what's happening. This is really what we're going to do from this point forward. But until they do that, we're just going to keep being, amoebas. And we're just like, which way do we go? Which way do we go? I mean, what I
Right.
mean? We need somebody to put their foot
I
down.
mean, I'll
and
never
say,
understand the reasoning as far as why they chose certain businesses as being essential, non-essential, and whatnot. I'm happy that we've gotten to this point where I'm just trying to look ahead without trying to even make sense of what happened. But at least like we got retail open, we've got restaurants that are getting open 50%, like the salons. I heard in Las Vegas, Venetian's gonna be the first one that opens up. So they're talking about June 1st. What's today's date? I'm not even losing track of dates here.
we're
Today
on the
is the 21st, Thursday the
21st.
21st.
Yep.
So not too much longer, but Venetian is opening up. MGM properties, which includes Bellagio and all that stuff, they're saying free parking, because think about it. The first people to come here are not coming by plane. So when they do reopen, it's going to be, they're trying to attract the California traffic, the local Nevada traffic. So I don't know when you came if they were charging for parking, but they got kind of, because the economy was doing pretty well, so they started tacking on really expensive resort fees, parking charges and whatnot, and now they're doing away with the parking charges, and you can see them trying to, ramp up in a smart way, which is good. But as far as like school, what do you think, man? What's the solution?
I think our kids have amazing immune systems, and we have to just put them back into what they were doing before. Because at the end of the day, man, you can't tell me that all of a sudden the virus came March 13th. You know what I mean? The March 13th wasn't the original time of the virus. The virus has been around for months. It's been around. I want to even go back to, let's go ahead and say, November of last year. You know what I mean? Like, I just, there's no scientific proof, so I'm just going off the cuff. But there were some people that went through some serious sicknesses, even in my own family, that put them down and out for several days. And
Okay.
with the coughing and the hard to breathe and the spiking temperatures and all that stuff. So I mean, March 13th wasn't the birth of this virus. It was just it was more of our awakening to then try to
Right.
make adjustments. But it's been here. So
Yeah,
with
I
that
know
being
people, like
said,
at least three people personally that have had the antibodies, and they've gone through this. They're
they've,
saying back
they've
in
done the
November,
test.
December.
Have they done the test?
Yeah, they've done the test. Like one
Okay,
of the
yeah.
guys, we have a 55 and older community back here, and one of the guys has the same doctor as me at the VA hospital. So he actually went to the VA hospital, took the test, had the antibodies. Like they came up with him having it like beginning of December, end of November. Somebody
That's
else that I know, unrelated, she's had it. So it did. We just found out about it later. But yeah, I think it's already like come through society, and So
And I
the
mean,
numbers are definitely not accurate. Plus, I think the testing, I don't even know. That's just a whole nother topic too. Like, are we spinning our wheels and wasting money and energy on this testing and just let it
I
happen?
mean, at the end of the day, I think we just got to, go with the herd immunity type situation and just, let it run its course. I know we had, talked offline about this, but, there's going to be, like I said on our first podcast, there's certainties in life. Are some people going to get sick? Absolutely. Are most people going to recover? Absolutely. And, are you going to have some deaths mixed in there? Absolutely. It just, it attacks those people that, it's supposed to attack. And if my immune system over 45 years isn't able to defend this off, then you know what? That's life. And as harsh as that sounds, hey man, no one gets out of this world alive. So I mean, you really got to deal with some. We got to deal with some realism right now, and the realism is that we're not immortal. We're not.
But
And
how would you feel if that hit home for you, as far as somebody, maybe not your immediate family, but let's say extended family? God forbid
yeah,
this happens. As you know,
yeah,
go ahead. I was about to say something, but I forgot that my family's sensitive about putting out information like that. So, um,
no. I see where you're
yeah,
going
yeah,
with it. I mean, the point being is that look, if they get it, chances are they're going to recover. And you know
okay,
what? I think because another good news of this whole thing is that I think hospitals are now more prepared than they were before because it was out of left field before, and I think that was part of the panic, right? Because you didn't have the resources, and they were opening up convention centers to make them into makeshift hospitals, and
right. And now
as they
their
were doing.
confidence level is higher because they know that we can handle it. We have more than enough beds and ventilators and all that stuff. They're buying time, and I think that they got ahead of the curve on that. So that's good. Now, real quick, getting back to schools, right? So
Yep.
in order to make something happen, the majority of the people have to be on board. So what you're saying is one thing, right? Now, what about for all the parents out there that are like, you know what? It's still too early. Like, even though you want to get your kids back to school, like they have a different opinion. And what do you think should be done about? So naturally, classrooms are going to have more space because they're going to have, let's say, half the parents that want to send their kids back to school, the other half that are still scared to, or whatever reasoning they have behind that. Maybe they have somebody in their household. Maybe the mom and dad has an immune system issue or whatever, and they don't want to, put themselves in jeopardy by sending their kids out there. So for those people,
Yep.
what are you gonna have options for both? Say, hey, some
I
people
think
can homeschool, some just, and we had options before, right? So I guess that's just gonna have to be
absolutely.
a personal choice, a family choice, if you want to go back to a normal school or if you want to change it to homeschooling, online schooling.
And at the
Kind of sucks
at
for
the
the
end of the day,
kids because if the kids want to be like with their friends and the parents want to do homeschooling, I mean that's not really, but that's a whole nother topic as well.
well, we just have to, we got to come up with, just like in sales, one of the biggest things that we do here at Security Plus, and not to draw a parallel, but it makes sense, is that, we lay out a couple different options for our member to choose from. So, look, here's what you can choose from if you want to go full boat. Here's what you're going to choose from if you want to do homeschooling. Here's what you want to do if you want to do some distant learning. You know what I mean? And we just got to figure out how to make that work with options. And, you know,
Oh, another thing we forgot to put a disclaimer out there. So I want to make sure that anybody watching understands that the views and whatever we're talking about here or whatever Tony's talking about uh, may not be the views expressed by the company that he works for. This
oh,
is just two
absolutely.
friends. These are just two friends
100%.
talking casually in the form of a podcast to, hopefully, put some information out there just to get some wheels spinning. But by no means does this mean just because we mentioned the businesses or whatever, but this might not be the ideas of the company that he works for or whatever. So
Definitely. Thank you for bringing that up
yeah,
because, we stand on our own, and we're part of a bigger community. I mean, I work for a credit union that's like a family. So I would never dream of speaking for or behalf of Security Plus's, ideas, or, how they want to handle this, because I think that our credit union has erred on an incredible side of precaution. And,
right,
we've done everything underneath the sun. We've shut down our branches, and we've taken the financial hit, that goes with that. And,
right,
we're ready to open back up and have our members come back in. But, the lunacy of that is that we're going to encourage our members to come into our branches with masks on, where there's contaminated money and there's potential contaminated money, and things could really, the safety of our branch employees, it has to be taken more seriously. But it's what we have to do. You know what I mean? It's like,
right.
we have to make sure that our the masses are protected and we're not offending anybody by our, our stances. Because
And whatever we're talking about, it's coming from a good place. Like your heart and your ambition is in the right place. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like
yeah, absolutely.
you're saying
Well,
anything negative. Like we obviously want to get back. We're just trying to figure out, together, because you got to have some platform, some medium to get the wheels spinning, because we got to do something, get some type of normalcy into play. So
for sure, and we'll stop talking about the business side of it, but the what we really need to do at this point in time is just have more open conversations, and nobody is right and nobody is wrong at this point in time. We just know that
yeah,
there's
people
been
need to
an
stop beating each other up on Facebook. Like how many arguments are happening on Facebook just because nobody really knows what to do? We're just kind of like sparking like ideas and conversations on where do we go from here? Like it doesn't have to be a fight. And I think that's why we created this platform, or not, you know what I mean? We came up
Yeah.
with the decision to do this podcast just to like explain it a little bit more than a few sentences that get misunderstood on
Oh,
Facebook, and
100%.
everybody starts blowing up, right? So this is like a great way to like express yourself and your ideas like completely, and give you like
Look,
a better
man,
platform.
look, and because I know it on the other side too, man. Look, if you have a compromised, immune system, man, you really need to take every single precaution, like more so than anybody else. Whereas with me, I could be asymptomatic, and I could still be a carrier of it, but I'm also isolating myself. I'm not coming in contact with other people. I literally get in my car, I come to my office, I don't come in contact with any other human being within 8-foot distance, if not further. All my loan officers have individual offices, so we're all at a distance, and we all communicate through email, text message, whatever. So we have that medium where we can do that. I'm not a bad guy in the fact of if I don't want to wear a mask, because I'm doing the other precautions that are associated with that. But again, I also understand from the other point of view, which is, you get mad at everything you hear because, you have a certain feeling about things. This is not to get mad about anything. It's about to educate yourself. It's about to give you more nutrition. Let's call it nutrition. Let's call
Okay.
everything that we learn nutrition. Our bodies crave nutrition. Our
Nutrition
brains,
for our brain.
our brains crave nutrition. So we got to
Okay.
give our brains the correct information. We can't deal with the bullshit of the forwarding of fake news. And, that whole terminology was brought about in a very serious manner because you can easily attack anybody for any point of view. Like I can attack somebody that doesn't want to come out of the house and call them scared or call them, a wussy or whatever. But at the end of the day, I can't do that. That's not a good thing to do. I got to appreciate.
Plus, we don't know their situation. We don't know what's going on inside of their house.
We don't
Maybe
know.
maybe he's not like that, but he's got like maybe he has a 100-year-old grandma inside the house that lives with them or whatever. You don't know what somebody's situation is. So we got to accommodate everybody. We got to find a smart way to do it. So I think like whoever would like to go back and have it spaced out should be given that opportunity. And then the people that don't want to, thank God that we already had some pretty good options out here in Nevada as far as homeschooling and the whole video thing. So I'm sure Maryland had those options as well, right? Like, did you guys have that choice whether to go to a brick and mortar school or do online learning in Maryland, or how does it work out there?
No,
I haven't been there in like 11 years. I don't even know what's happened since.
Yeah, I mean, you can certainly homeschool. I mean, that's certainly an option. They'll provide you all the necessary.
So they give you everything that you need if you want to do homeschooling. Like I heard they give you like a laptop. They take care of all that. See, with mine, I'm paying private school tuition, which is around $3,000 a month for both kids when you're in school. They didn't charge for the first month or so, and then they said, hey, for online classes, we still have expenses. You know what I mean? We have to pay our teachers. We have to do this and that. So they took off like 40% or 50%. I forgot what the number is. No, we're supposed to pay 40%. So we're paying about $1,100 now for both kids with online classes, but they're also not learning the full spectrum of what they were learning before. I think it's narrowed down to like 3 core things. And, she's dealing with all their homework and whatnot, so I can run this place. But yeah, are they capable of like learning like a full schedule, what they learned in school with all that discipline and structure? Like they're only learning like these core 3 classes. Like, should we increase the, how much they're learning at home if for the people that choose to continue to homeschool or video or whatever you want to call it?
That's a great question. I mean,
What do you
it's
think about
something
that?
that needs to be, thought about. Again, more nutrition for the brain, figuring out what the cost is, and seeing what the the positive and negatives of that. I just know that my kids are they're just not getting what they should be getting. But I also don't think that they're falling behind because they're kids. I'm still want my kids to be kids. That's what we're not making these into. We're not rushing these kids to grow up too fast. And that's another benefit of this whole lockdown thing is that we're appreciating every day we have with our kids. Where we
Right,
where
right,
where it was more of a machine before. Get up, go to school, come home, do homework. Do your thing. Now it's more loosey goosey, and it's we're now nurturing our kids a little bit more, but we're
right.
also at our wits' end because businesses are open back up, and now guess what? Parents are having to go back to work, and the unemployment's going to go away, and you know what I mean. Like so, that's another topic that'll be for a future podcast. Is talk about the financial ramifications of this whole turn down and lockdown.
I think we can bounce back. Like, I don't see why not, right? Like, if we're
Yeah,
30, let's say 30, I don't know what the exact number is. I hear a different number every day, but let's say 30 million jobs have been lost. Why can't those 30 million jobs be filled again, or at least, a really good percentage of them? Because if we're just going back to business and turning things back on, if you look at the big picture, okay, so the lights are out for 3 months. Is it really going to take 10 years to recover from that? Like, how bad is the situation and can we get back? That's a topic for another podcast. But I
definitely.
think like we can get back a lot sooner than people think.
I mean, we were a booming economy just 5 months ago. I mean, my 401ks were incredibly growing at an incredible pace, and then they took a hit, and then now they're getting back to where they were before. So I see the
Right.
recovery, and I see things are happening. Look, the stock market is still better than what it was at the end of the prior president's term. So I mean, even through a pandemic, you know what I mean.
Right.
So that's good news, and that's something to really hang our hat on. And I share with your idea that I think we can recover quickly. Certainly mortgages ain't going anywhere. Your business isn't going anywhere. So well, I think the things that need to come back are the restaurants and the movie theaters. And when do you feel comfortable going to a movie theater?
Right.
I'm still gonna go to the movie theater as soon as they open it up because I'm not scared. You know what I mean?
But I
And
think the
I have a
most the
different.
most important thing is going to be the schools, because if the
Yeah,
kids are back in school, then that's going to allow the parents to go back to what they were doing. You know what I'm saying? So like I really think that's the first step that we have to solve, and then we'll get to everything else will fall into place.
I agree 100%.
So
I think that just more communication, less hate right now, more love, more appreciation for everybody's point of view. I mean, we really got
right.
to focus on that, and really,
Definitely
I
need
love the
unity, man. You can't have all this
unity.
division that we have. Got to have it.
Got to be. I say it all the time, man. You get a lot more action with honey than you do with vinegar.
Yep.
If you have somebody that's spitting venom, I don't want to be infected with that spitting venom. I want to be the peacemaker about everything. And anything I've ever posted on my Facebook or anything like that, it's always been from a point of view of what ifs and think about this and why are we doing this? And I encourage the discussion. But once I put something out there, I get immediately attacked, like I'm coming from a different angle, and it's not fair, but it's okay. It's the climate that we're in, but we almost got to back up that climate a little bit and understand that we're all in this. We're in this as a whole, but we all have individual rowboats that we're going, and we're all trying to go in the same direction, but a lot of people are going the opposite direction, and we really got to focus and get going in the right direction.
Right. Like I said, we're not going to win over anybody on any particular topic. You just have to get the
No,
majority, right? So at least
yeah,
you got to just get go, and that's like herd immunity as well. Like you're not going to get to 100%. If you get to 70%, um, I think we have a good shot of coming out of this sooner than later. But
I really think that you know, uh, opening up some of the summer camps and making giving parents a little bit of hope. I think that'll be a good start too. But having an outdoor camp and we're taking social distancing into consideration. I think that'll give hope. I but boarding up basketball hoops and taking rims down and not allowing you to be out and about, not encouraging you to be out and about. That's really detrimental, and that's what we're seeing in our area. Like if you go to our little parks that we have around our way, they've taken boards and they've boarded up the basketball hoops or taken the hoops completely down, or
Right.
they've taken caution tape and they've run around the entire playground to prevent the kids from going in there. And
That's
that
crazy
to
that they
me,
took it to that level, right? That's just nuts.
who
And
who's the genius that decided that was a good idea? Like, I want to know that person. Like, who's given that order? It just makes no sense to me.
right. It's nuts. Well, you know what? The good thing about having like these flexible schedules and being able to juggle customers and what we have to do at different times is awesome for us, because right now it is, what time is it here? It's 3:15 in Vegas. Like, I can go home while the sun is still out and take my kids out to get some vitamin D and play and be a part. And then when they burn through their energy, I can get back to work. But it's thrown my sleep schedule off. So what do you think about the timing of this podcast? Like, do you think it'll work for everybody? We'll do it like 3 times a week and pick a different topic and run with it.
Yeah,
I would
I
like
mean,
people to chime in. Like, I'd love to see some comments and we can interact, and maybe the next podcast can be in response to some of the stuff. But this is only number 2. I'm just curious to see if the numbers from this one will be higher than the numbers from the first one as far as people watching and whatnot. But we'd love some feedback as far as like getting better. We're going to be a little rusty to get started, but I like the way I like
well,
the direction that it's going.
you like that feedback we got from my business partner, Jennifer. She sent that big long email about some of the things that were great and some of the things that we needed to work on, and we take
Yeah,
everything to heart.
thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate Jennifer, if you're watching, thank you. We appreciate you taking the time to give us some constructive criticism and your feedback. I really appreciate it. That means a lot. So thank you.
For sure.
And I think you
And
got some feedback from somebody else, right? There was one other person that let you know something.
Yeah, that was on instant message through Facebook. They basically said, good communication, good. We feed off each other very well, and we respect each other, because and that's really what we got to get back to. We got to get back to just having respect. And
Right. See, I could disagree with something that you're saying, but there's a right and a wrong way to approach it. I'm not going to sit here and beat you over the head. I'm going to express my side of what I'm talking about, and then you can express your side, and then like it is what it is. And you can agree to disagree, but you can still kind of be cool and go to the next topic.
We got to get stuff off our chest. We can't keep it bottled up. We got to let it out. And
right.
That's what this is all about. It's about encouraging people to talk, and it's encouraging the dialogue, and it's encouraging different points of view to really come together. And again, I harp on it. No one's right. No one's wrong. We got to really just get into an open discussion and figure out what's eventually going to be best. Because look, even when, before the virus happened, there was division. People still had different opinions about everything, and that's fine. But now it's like, nobody knows the exact answers from an invisible virus. I'll keep saying it. It's a sickness that has devastating effects to those that have compromised immune systems. That's what we've been told.
Right.
It affects elderly people, so we know it's affecting nursing homes. And some of the mismanagement from leadership is even some of those people in leadership positions have put their own people in harm's way, and that's something that's very concerning. So, but at the end of the day, I think just the dialogue and just getting it out there and getting things off your chest, and knowing that at the end of the day, we only want what's best for everybody.
Right.
It's not my way or the highway. It's about, coming together as a unity. Look, and I've said this before, look, September 12th was one of the best days, from the worst catastrophic thing besides this to ever hit our country. The unity that was displayed, the flags were flying. Everyone was hugging each other. Everyone was like, we were all on the same page.
Exactly.
I don't know what it's going to take to get back there, but maybe, we got to think.
The school topic is the school topic is something for like the near future, hopefully, but we still want to talk about today and like the positives, like you got to squeeze out the positives from this negative situation. So if you can go home early or play with your kids, all the learning is not done in the classroom. So until we get to school, like they still have to learn today. Their brains are still sponges. We got to take advantage of it. Like you said, they're doing home ec and shop and anything that you can teach them. I love them I love to come home and get stuff done and have them shadow me, because you'd be surprised how much stuff they're learning. Like I don't think you'd be surprised. You already know how much they're learning without being in the classroom also. But so it's good.
I was teaching my son about mortgages. So, I mean, my son at
right?
12 is going to know about how to buy a house way before I knew when to buy a house. You know what I mean? So as soon as
I give him like one lecture every night. I said I give them about one lecture every night. Like the other
Good.
night, I was talking about like, you know, $10 an hour tasks or jobs versus
Yep.
$100 an hour, right? And if you're a $100 an hour guy, don't do $10 an hour tasks and why, and talking about like how it makes sense to hire somebody and get the economy going and like you can profit off of that. Like don't sell your time, you know, sell your talent type of thing. And but
Don't
yeah, they
give
don't get
away.
that type of conversation from their teachers. Come on now.
No,
You know
no.
how many times where Anya told me that, oh man, we never learned that in school. How come they don't teach us that in school? I'm not knocking what they're teaching them in school, but I'm saying they're going to learn from all over. So it's okay to have a little break for a couple months. They got to learn a lot of stuff at home. We got to bond with our children and whatnot. Now it's time to get back to, you know, after the summer, hopefully, you know, September, we'll get back to normal. So
Yeah, man.
no
So
fear
this is we're
mongering.
gonna wrap it
Let's
up.
positive thoughts here.
Yeah, man. So we're wrap it up. It's 56 minutes into this. You know, we
All
don't want to
right.
take up everyone's, you know, lifetime, but you know, again, positive feedback, and we'll look forward to knocking this out. I know today's Thursday. Maybe, you know, get onto a more certain schedule next week, like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Okay, for sure. Sounds good, man. Good catching up. Good chatting.
Absolutely. And
Say
we'll
hi
look
to the
forward to the next
family,
time,
bro.
brother.
We'll do this another time. Okay, very
All
good.
right, man.
Take care. Have a
See
good
ya.
night.